Okay, so good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Alexis, the founder of Fanfaire, and Alyssa is my co-host from Party Lane in Northwest Indiana.
Hi,
Say hi.
everybody.
And today we are doing an exercise on mapping your client journey. And so I am just going to ask you a series of questions and walk you through the view of what your client sees. And so the reason why we want to walk through this exercise is because you want to understand where they might be getting caught up. You may think your process is one way, and you actually have to experience it from the client view to know if it's actually that way. Um, an example of this is in my business with Fanfare, I have to continuously rework on the onboarding process because we change things in our software all the time. And so that is probably like many of you who have been in business a long time, maybe you've kept things a certain way because they're working. It's still a good exercise to go revisit it. If you're a younger business and you are using a couple tools, or maybe everything's manual yourself, you still want to take a look at this to see, hey, maybe like I can reduce a little bit of what we call friction in that customer journey so that it's just easier for them. We're in the era of Amazon, and people want things easy. Like think back to like our parents or our grandparents, like they didn't have like our grandparents, like they didn't have cell phones. They had to just, if they needed to do something, they just had to like get their butt up and do it, right? And it took a lot more effort to do things. Now we like are in the era of like these Gen Zers who expect everything, and it's a completely different mindset. So what we want to do for our clients is make it as easy as possible. Obviously, like being you probably have a bubbly, warm personality because you want to like help people make their events look great, right? You're probably naturally already that way. But you can't fully rely on you, even though that may be a differentiator in your business, to be the reason why people will book with you. So I'm going to share my screen. Any questions before I get going, and any comments?
I just agree. Like what we find is it's they come to us for our work, but a lot of people who do come through, what they're going to be going through is how easy is the process, what could they see, and how fast do you respond? The faster you respond, the more likely you are to book it. So
Speed
that's
is truly the number one indicator.
speed is just the number one thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen, my whole screen. Okay. So I'm using Miro. If you want a free Miro account, you can get one, and I can share this with you. I'm just going to zoom in here. So it really, the journey starts at just like awareness, and literally like I don't know if you've ever talked to like an old man in the last year like they didn't even know that balloons could be tied together in a garland. Like there is truly like awareness that starts somewhere, that you can have balloons in a garland or put together in a certain way at your event. Like I don't know if you guys get silly questions like old men lingering around while you're setting up. It's like their spouse or their grandchild's party, and they're like, oh, are there helium in those balloons that are sitting on the ground? Like men truly are clueless. And there is a discovery point for everybody that, hey, maybe I want balloons to decorate my event, right? So it really starts somewhere. And then potentially they find out about you. And so that could be through a myriad of things. A lot of times it's just like my friend used you, or they went to a party where your balloons were there, right? Those are the typical ways. Maybe you were at an event that you collected emails, and they started getting emails with seeing your pictures in it. Right? Maybe there's a series of things, and apparently there are like 9+ touches that happen before a client decides in their mind that they're going to come seek your services. So having, where are the things that where are these clients becoming aware of these services, and then where are they becoming aware of you? They may be becoming generally aware by Pinterest or by Google or YouTube or Etsy or Amazon, right? They're looking for something on Amazon. If you've ever received a a screenshot of an Amazon like balloon garland and they're asking you for a price to do it because they don't want to put it together. Like there's, maybe this person has a limited view of what it takes to have balloons at their event, right? And so they're probably very unaware at this point of like what does something like this cost. Maybe they've been seeing things on Instagram, it gotten into their algorithm, they clicked on something and now they're seeing a lot of like balloon decor on their social media, right? TikTok, same thing, right? So after their awareness, they start to think like, hey, I'm having a party. Maybe I want balloons at my event, right? And so the next step is they probably are going to touch the edge of like what maybe it might be you, it might be your competitor or whatever, right? Where are they first finding you? So if you guys want to say, you guys can totally come off mute. Are people finding you on Google? Are people we're like obviously we when we talk to the client, we're asking them like, oh, how'd you find us? A lot of the answers I get are they heard about me from a friend, they found us on Google, they found us on Instagram. Typically that's it. So when they go and Google us, then they find the Google business profile or whatever. How about you guys? Where are people finding you?
Same thing. So for us, the majority of our business is repeat and referral. After that, it's finding us on, we hit a lot of Google and a lot of Instagram and Facebook are where people find us a lot. They use us through find us through our social media platforms. So
Mm-hmm.
I always like when they find us through our social media platforms compared to when they find us through Google because I find that those are more qualified leads for us because they're already seeing an example of our work and they usually know that they want to work with us specifically. So it's almost as good as a repeat and referral because they already know, even if they haven't worked with us in the past, that I've seen your work. I know that we want to work with you compared to just being someone who they're like Googling for best price. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they're
Yeah.
like, what do you mean? It's $15 for a foil. I could get it for $5 at the dollar store. And I'm like, okay, go ahead.
Good luck.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, you're sold out. Sorry.
Yeah. Christy, did you want to say something?
I mean, mine all come from referrals mainly, some Google, other balloon artists that can't do a job because of the date or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So even if they've heard of you from their friend, they might want to be like, okay, I saw what you did at my friend's party. Maybe they're like, I'm sold. That was amazing, right? Or maybe they're like, yeah, what they did was cute. What else can they do? And they may want to do a little bit more research. Like they said their business name was this. So I'm just gonna see what it looks like on Google, what comes up for them. Maybe and then they see, oh wow, there's all these amazing reviews. I'm sold. I'm gonna reach out. Right. Or maybe it's, they messing on social media. Now they're like scrolling through Instagram. Let me find an example from their Instagram of what they did for another client that I want, right? So when they first see these things, um, we want to make sure that those things have a big impact. But also, the biggest mistake I see is buttons not working. I don't know if you guys have come across this. Sometimes links break. Maybe you link something on a link tree. Um, I've seen a lot of that, and I've seen that from very smart people. Like when a website is auto, when they set it up quickly, it'll have the link to like straight up Instagram and not even their Instagram profile, things like that. So if you want to just take a quick look at your own Google business profile, as well as your Instagram or your website, just do a quick audit to find out like do my links work? And right now everyone's assuming of course my links work. What do you think? I'm an idiot, right? But sometimes links do break, and I'm not saying that anyone is not smart if a link doesn't work. Sometimes you just have to go back and make sure that they work, right? I've
Mhm.
also seen like this is kind of random. Like a year ago, my daughter was selling Girl Scout cookies, and I put on my personal Instagram a link to buy Girl Scout cookies from like a digital cookie store. And it wasn't long ago that I refreshed my own personal page, and that link randomly came up. I'm like, do I have that link still on there? And sometimes when software companies will make an update, it will like revert back. So like sometimes it's really not even your fault, right? Like a link can get weird. So literally go look and click on all those links. Okay. So now that they've found you, they've probably already made a pretty conscious decision that like, I like this person, I like their style, and I can see that they have experience, and I have a pretty good gut feeling that I'm gonna get something just like what these other customers got, right? Their confidence is pretty high. So at this point, they're thinking, okay, well, now what do I do next to reach out to this business? What I want to know is, are they available? Right? Sometimes people get this anxiety. Are you available for my date? And they already know, they've already decided they want you, but now what if they can't have you? Right? Or you know what? I really like this business, but I'm on a budget, or like certain things like, will they come to my area? I'm a little bit far out of the area. Will they come to me? There's these other lingering questions in their head, right? So what is the first action that you're asking them to take at this point? So across your Instagram, across your Google Business Profile, across your website, um, all of those things, you will have what we call a call to action. And that is just strictly the words that are indicating to click the button, right? That is all that means. That's a CTA, call to action. So does it say to shop? Does it say book now? Does it say DM us? Does it say fill out a form? Does it say call? Right? Does it say text, email? What is the call to action that you're asking them to do? So one of the fatal errors I see here is sometimes people will have non-working forms. They'll have all the calls to action, right? In some ways, I appreciate that because you want to make it accessible for everybody to reach you however they want, right? Some people want to talk on the phone, some people want to send a text, whatever. So sure, but give them guidance, right? Don't make it so open, because they're like, all they want to know is, how do I get that fast answer from you? How do I get my questions answered really quickly? And as we just discussed, speed is really important. So what is the wording and what does it actually do? What does that button actually do? It might say shop, but what does that actually mean? Right? So to someone ordering event decor, okay, shop. What do you mean shop? So is that driving the client to an e-commerce experience? Are they buying something that's one of many, or are they buying something that's custom? Right? I see book now actually go to an order form a lot, right? So is this giving the client the feeling that like, oh, this is going to be slow, right? So if you're auditing your own flow, right? You probably thought these things through, but now with fresh eyes going back, does the wording make sense for the action that I'm asking them to take? Um, call, right? Is somebody going to pick up the phone, right? If you're asking people to call you, are you pretty available, or are they going to have to leave a message, right? So those are all points of potential friction, because the action that you're asking them to take might not be what they expected. It might not be giving them the answers that they're looking for in that exact moment. Um, if someone is scrolling at work and they find you and they're like, "Oh, I can't call you right now, but I want to find out this information." Um, they want to know, what's the fastest way I can get this information, right? So can you narrow down your calls to action to give them CTAs that will indicate speed, right? Can you give them some word that's like, hey, you know what? Like book now is very like, we book the client, right? We don't shop the client, right? We book the client. So can I actually book now, or what am I going to do, right? So give them an indication of that, try to meet that expectation, and give them some indication that it's going to be quick. Any questions so far? Am I going too fast? Are you good? Am I going too slow?
You're right on.
Okay. Okay. All right. When they take that first step that you're asking them to do, what are they getting? Are they going to get, so really what they want to know is like, can I afford you? Can you come to my area? Are you available? Like, can you reinforce that now I have this vision? I saw these things that you did, but what I'm really looking for is a floral wall, right? They come in with these preconceived notions from, Pinterest, Etsy, what their friend did or whatever, right? Or so, like someone the other week assumed that we had a wicker baby carriage, right? Because it was in one of our pictures. right? We actually don't own that. The client rented it separately. So there's all these assumptions that they're making. And so how can you drive them to get those answers? And at minimum, that you are available if you are, and what did the things cost? If you're not going to drive to 2 hours away, right? Like let them keep coming for more information until you're like, I'm not going to do it, right? You would rather reject them than they reject you. Sadly to say that, but it's true. You would rather have to let them down easy than to have them self remove them from the process, right? So in that initial step, are you available? Are you available and what does it cost? Are you providing that clarity and that speed to those answers? From there, since they've already pretty much decided, okay, I'm reaching out, they've reached out, right? This is where the most friction begins. Okay. This is where they want to know, what does it look like and what does it cost? And as you change what it looks like, you're going to change what it costs. So can I, as the consumer, understand, like, if I make these changes, was the budget going up or down? Right? A lot of clients don't have any idea, right? They're like, well, you're asking for something more complicated and it's our time, right? Or um, you're dialing back the design, but you've added in this other element of like, you know, now I gotta come tear it down at 10 o'clock that night. I don't know what it is, right? There may be things that are like blockers for you that you're like, that's gonna cost the sun, the moon, the stars. I'm not doing that. Um, so this is where trust is really built or lost. And so you want to be able to help the client make a decision on what they're getting. And we all know the types of clients we get. We get one that's like firm on exactly what she knows what she wants. And then the other who is like, I don't know what I want. You've seen it all. Can you guide me to what I should do? And then respect like what my boundaries are for what it's going to cost. Right? So how do your clients typically ghost you, I guess, at that point, right? Like if you're dealing with people over Instagram, and we'll get a lot of clients will call and say, well, just give me roughly what does this cost? Right? I'm gonna send you a picture right now. What does it cost? They'll do it on DM, they'll do it over text, right? Those are tricky moments where you're trying to get the client to learn more, and where they potentially could ghost you. And maybe, if they were never going to buy from you anyway, right? They were looking for um, something that cost 300 that was never going to be $300, right? Maybe it was just never your client from the get-go. But where do you see in this initial phase of like understanding the client vision and giving in the initial price, where do people usually disappear? So I see a lot of businesses who will share a proposal via an email. Email is typically slow. If the client is a corporate client and they're used to working on email all day, and you sent the proposal at 5 and they're like clock in, clock out type of employee, right? Like maybe they're not going to get back to you until the next day, right? And that's expected. Um, a lot of I've asked a lot of businesses, most of the people who book their services tend to be women, right? Who will care about the aesthetics, right? And if it's a personal event, they're going to be checking on what your answers are at any time of day because they care about the event and they've already decided they want you, right? So, any of you, do you want to share like where clients are falling off in this initial dance?
Um, well, for us, it would be if pricing doesn't align. So it's usually pretty quickly, because they realize that they might have a $250 budget and want 7 marquee letters. So it's just not going to happen, period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes I even see it with the lingo,
Hmm.
right? They are using certain terminology, right? And you're saying, okay, it's this. It's just getting it that initial baseline of what we're talking about, right? Because they're saying arch, but they're sending pictures of tiaras, right?
Hmm.
Things like that. So sometimes there can be frustration if they don't get get the answer right away with the cost for the picture that they sent, right? You're like, I don't even know what you don't want in the picture. You send me this picture, you don't like this, you don't like that, right? You're just trying to decipher through,
Mhm.
this hidden code of the language. What do they actually want, right? Um, Even if there's friction there, sometimes people disappear. Okay, pricing. I meet with a lot of decor businesses, guys, a lot. And I'll tell you that there is a big range in confidence level on pricing. So, newer businesses, especially if they're operating out of Instagram via a DM, they are scared they're not going to get the booking and will often underprice, right? And they're like, I want to get back to them with a quick answer. I don't totally understand their vision, but I'm going to throw out 350 because I want them to book with me, right? Um, so actually throwing out the pricing too early could be to your own detriment because the client will defend what they said and sent to you, even though, right, you said 350, where they're like, well, I meant it was this tiara plus the teddy bears that are in the picture and the la la. And you're like, okay, wait, I can't even get this many teddy bears for a reasonable price, right? Like, what are we talking about? How can we get so off, right? Um, so when do you typically, usually it should be after that, after you've kind of clarified the vision is when you throw out a price. But people
Mhm.
often they will force you, right? They are like, give me a range right now or I'm out of here, right? They're so bold when they don't know you at all, right? So how about Karen, Kathy, Dominique? Is there any, like, have you had any of these scenarios where the pricing's been thrown out too early or too late? Right? Too late is a real thing too. They're like, I'm frustrated. I've sent you all these pictures. It's been 3 days and I still don't have a number out of you, right? And you're like, well, I feel like I have a moving target, but I need to provide a range, right?
Yes.
Go ahead, Karen.
N Not too long ago, I'm starting, so they want me to do a sweet 16, but it's like they want a lot of balloons, and I was just taking long. I mean, they didn't get frustrated, but I was taking long to come up with the price because I'm like, okay, I need to put this ahead, and they wanted to keep adding stuff, and I was like, okay, I need to know what you really want because I need to give you a price to see if you're gonna go with me or not. They end up going with me, but it was like how you said they keep adding stuff and they just, oh, how much will it be for this? But then they keep adding. It's like, okay, I need to know what exactly you need and want. That way, and it
Mhm.
worked out. But yeah, it happens.
Right, right. Um, in in that engagement with them, did you have any price changes or was the price finalized?
It was finalized, but because she just keep adding stuff and then she's like, oh, just give me a price, okay, and just let me know how much it's gonna be, and then they keep adding and adding. I'll like, I have to sit with them and be like, okay, I'm ready to give you a price, but I need to know exactly what you really want so I could come up with the quote for it. And then that's how I got them. And now they stop adding stuff because I already give them a price. So I'm like, if not, they're gonna keep going.
Yep, yep. Yeah, I had a client who booked last week. They called me up. It was a couple on speakerphone. And it's their first baby shower. And they're like, are you available on this date? And we're like, we actually have an event like right next to there that same morning that's going to take us some time. We're like, okay, shoot. Like, as long as we can get into that venue. One's at a hotel ballroom at like large, like conference size room, could be a ballroom. And the other one is at a restaurant, like a private room, right? They're close to each other, but we have to go back and reload and all that, and the time is tight. And so we're like, okay, sure, like yeah, we can probably squeeze you in the morning if we can be in there by 9. I'm like, well, what does it cost? Like, I need a price right now because the last lady was too expensive. I'm like, okay, we're not gonna get this gig anyway. Like, there's no way. This lady is like very like, okay, like, right. And so she's like, well, I want something like this. And she's going on and on and on. And I'm like, okay, you're high maintenance. I can already tell. Like this, we're not getting this event, but like, let's just see. So she sends me a picture of what she wants with a bunch of changes, with the change of colors. I'm like, 'cause what do you like? She even threw it had the 3D arch in it. And so I'm like, okay, do you want the 3D arch? No, it can just be plain. And so I'm like, okay, she's trying to find a way to make what she wants plainer and cheaper, right? So I'm like, okay. Um, so I send her the price And I said, okay, we can. So I send it through Fanfaire collaboration mode. And I sent her, the basic design. I made it the cheapest as possible, was just the garland on a single side and like lettering. I kept it really simple. And I said, and she's like, I want it teddy bear themed. And if, so I'm like, great. If you want to provide the teddy bears, I'll, just tie them in there. Like, great. We'll get this done in 20 minutes. Right. Okay, great. Like this all looks really good. Now she's like in the more elaborate one. Now she wants the rainbow art. So I showed her like a couple other options that are like within this range. So I get over the phone. I said, like, this could be anywhere from 450 to 700, right? So I gave her a range of these options and she kept wanting to like, now I want to paint the backdrops. Now I'm not, right? She's saying all these things, right? I'm like, we're not getting this deal anyway. So like, go ahead, go ahead, you edit it, you edit it and let me know. And then she's like, well, I saw on your site you guys also do centerpieces. And I'm like, well, now we're getting way away from this like 450 price, like 475, right? With you providing the teddy bears and us being in and out really quickly for the other event. She ended up with over $1,000 deal with us because she got 9 tables of centerpieces with the backdrop, with the arch. So I'm like, okay, it was never actually about price, right? The client actually didn't feel like she was getting the quality of what she wanted from somebody else. And she wanted to feel like, oh, I'm already spending all this money on it. But now that she has seen it all, she could play with it. Honestly, she could see how the price could change. Whereas I think she got a one-way quote of like $700 and she was like, nope, too expensive, right? So when she could see how the price could change and like what would do what, she was more willing to spend, and it put her at ease that like no matter how she plays with it, she feels like she can trust our pricing. Some businesses don't like lead with the trusting part, right? So it's like this person seems to be making up the price. I don't know if you guys have ever had, like, I had 2 girls planning a baby shower and they didn't tell me it was the same party and they both called for separate quotes. And so they're testing me, right? This was before I had Fanfaire. They want to test, like, what is your actual price? You just threw it out over the phone. What's the real price? And so people want to feel like they know that they're getting a fair price. So that could also be part of it, right? Okay. So now we were talking about these concepts. Like, what do these assets actually look like? Are they getting a number from you via text? Are they getting an invoice? Does it have line items on it? Is it one complete price? Does it have a picture with it? Is it like, what is the asset that they're getting? And what is, like, when you receive that as a client, what does that feel like? Right? So sometimes I feel like invoicing can feel like a bill and you're like, I'm going to sit on that. Or I don't want to, I've even had customers say to me, like, don't tell my husband that, like, I just told him like I got stuff from Party City. I was like, Party City's closed, girl. Like, she's like, he's not gonna investigate. I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, do you want me to pretend I'm your friend? She didn't want her husband to know what she spent, right? So how does that come through? Right? What does it look like? Will the person react to what they got? Do they feel confident that, okay, this is a professional business? Does it look professional, what you're sending over? Does it have your logo on it? From receiving that invoice or whatever, can they click and pay? Can they pay with a credit card, right? So we'll get into that a little bit, but okay, so are they accepting a contract? If you're newer, do you send over a DocuSign, or are you saying like, hey, my contract is listed on my website? Do you warn them in a text message and they text agree in writing, right? How do they agree to the terms that you've set forth? Maybe your terms are really loose because you're new and you're like, you know what, like, if they break the backdrop, I'll fix it. Like, maybe you're at this early stage where you're operating a little bit out of fear, right? Or maybe you're like, I've been burned so much, I've got every freaking clause in this, and try to mess with my contract, right? What does that appear like to the client? Go look at it. Does it look daunting? Does it look like, like, litigious? Does it look like, okay, shit, I don't want to mess with this badass balloon bitch? I don't know. So what does the deposit process look like? Do they have a confirmation that they got that deposit, right? Is it you confirming that they got, when we started like 5 whatever years ago, people would Zelle us. Now looking back, I'm like, I can't believe, because you cannot get a Zelle payment back. I'm like, I can't believe people over the internet sent us money via Zelle. This is outrageous. I would never do that now. I would never do that, right? There's all these scams, and there's like these since I started with Zelle like 5 or 6 years ago, and now you look when you send money, are you sure? Because you're not getting this money back. There's like that extra disclaimer, like, do you know this person? Are you going to send this money? Now I have hesitation to do something like that, even for my own parties, like for a cake person, wherever you're like, okay, I guess in the scheme of things, like $180, like, okay, but for the amount that we're charging, right? Like, what is the view of that client? So go and look at these actual assets. Do these look professional? Can they trust it? Is it like, is everything cohesive? Does your brand name show up the same everywhere? Right? Do a lot of people have the same brand name as you? Is it going to get confusing for the client? Like, oh, you know what? I had an issue with this business, and there's 3 businesses with a name just like this. Like, how am I even going to track this person down? This is so sketchy, right? Those are some of the, so I've seen people put like LLC in their domain name. You don't need to do that, right? Like things like that. Like look the part. Act like you've been here, right? Like right? Act like professional of what you would expect out of a business that you're going to buy from, right? So definitely look at each of these assets. In this booking process, do you feel like you have to guide the client through each part of it, right? Like, hey, now you got to accept the contract. Now you got to maybe you have to pay the invoice, but you also have to, wet sign this and submit the deposit, right? Do those things seem predictable? Like these things would come, or are they surprised after they've signed the contract that you've now sent a bill immediately? Like are these things that you're communicating in advance and they expect these things? What you want to do is make sure that you're being clear with what's coming and delivering exactly what you said, right? You don't want any surprises. People don't like surprises, right? When is the payment collected, right? Are they like, oh, I've got to pay now? I thought I'd pay when you dropped it off, right? Um, right? Do you ever get those questions? Usually for a bigger installation, you over communicate that they'll be paying, a portion ahead. I would say 99% of the businesses that I work with collect 50% up front and another 50% before you show up on site. I have seen people just do a straight up like $200 fee to book, right? I've seen flat fees for those things. Are you the norm? Are you doing something different, right? Okay, I said all this with the payment, does it feel safe, right? With your communication from when they book, like after they book, do you confirm right away, right? So say that they made a payment on the invoice, they're going to get an automated reply maybe, or they get the copy of the contract, or maybe a receipt um from the deposit payment. Um, do you call them, right? What are the things that you do? These are more manual now. Maybe they get those automations, but do you also let them know personally, I'm so excited, I saw you paid, right? Obviously, like sometimes people will wait like a week to pay, and some people pay right away, right? Um, After you've had all those conversations and then you're like, wow, they did book, right? Are you reaching out to be like, hey, I'm so glad you went with us. What is the action that you take? Is a calendar invite sent to them, right? That's something nice to have on the calendar, remind them that you're coming. What kind of outreach are you doing? So just refresh your memory. This whole theme here is the client's journey, right? So the view from them. So what does it look like from their perspective, even though these are the actions that you're doing, right? Do they feel like, wow, they really value my business? They were so excited that I booked, and I'm so glad I went with them. Or are they like, wow, this business just ghosted me, even though I just paid them $700, right? They're not even reaching out anymore, right? What is their feeling at this moment? Um, what is the communication about you the day before? Or like, do you let them know, hey, I'm on my way? Or like, we like to let our clients know, hey, we like have everything prepped, the colors look amazing, or like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to put this together. I love these details. Like, are you kind of gushing over the beauty of it, like with them? Are you guys on the same team and excitement here, or are you the vendor, right? Like, what's the vibe that you're giving out? Do you have something to say, Alyssa?
I was just going to say when we were going back to talking about if they received it, I feel like that's a really important way, just reaching out to someone to let them know that you received the deposit, that you're looking forward to doing their event, and just checking out because everyone wants to feel like their event is very special, and it is special. It's especially to them and to us, but especially if they are putting down a larger deposit or it's they really want to know that you got it, it's good, we're ready to go. And I just feel like that's that extra level of service that even though it's a really quick just message or email or call, that just gives them that reassurance and makes them happy that they're working with you. They always love the personal touch.
Yeah. So this is kind of like a tangent. I'm gonna make this quick. So I worked for one of the largest software companies, Oracle, right? There were like hundreds of thousands of employees, right? And they had, some people built their career on using Oracle products as a software person, right? And Oracle did one thing that I thought was like, wow, this is actually really impressive. I could take the chairman of the board to any of my client meetings and set up that meeting one-on-one, right? Which was really cool. So people in these types of roles love to meet with someone of power and be like, wow, this big company actually cares about me, right? And then I went to another company, I'm not going to name them. They're smaller, more nimble, more innovative, cooler tech company. And I was having an issue with one of my same big client actually. And the head of customer success said to me, he said, well, if we're too available, they're going to think that we're small. And I go, no, they're actually going to think that you care. Oracle, the chairman of the board, would go meet with any customer. And now you being like not even a tenth of the size, if your customers think that you don't care, right? What does that say about you? Not how big and important we are, right? So even in if your business is huge, if you're the hottest game in town, everyone's booking you, you're super busy. If you call your client and you're like, "Hey, I am thrilled that you booked with us. I know you have choices out there, but we can't wait to be there." They're not going to think, "Oh, she's just a tiny business. She's begging for my business." They're going to think, "Wow, she really cares." And I'm going to remember that and I'm going to go back to them because they want to be at our event and they know that it's a choice that the customer has who they go with. And this business wants our business, right?
Hmm.
So even exciting, like sending back like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like, we're so glad you chose us. That goes a long way. They're like, yeah, like I did choose you guys, right? And I know you're going to do a good job. It does go a long way. There's no reason to be like, think that you're too good to reach out one-on-one.
Hmm.
Okay. When communications are happening like an hour before the event is over or like, tear down is complete or whatever, like we typically don't message our clients during the event because we assume that they're not going to be on their phones, they're enjoying their event, right? Um, we sometimes will send a text like we're going to come pick the stuff up or whatever just to let them know, but they don't need to do anything. But if they're not, for some reason, they're not there, like we've coordinated with a venue, or like sometimes we'll text the venue to be like, hey, like, it seems like the event is like almost over. We'll be right there or whatever, right? Sometimes the client will text us like, hey, like, the event ran long or like whatever, like come on and collect your backdrops or whatever. It's always nice to just like confirm because if the venue, you work with the venue a lot and the client maybe left the party, if you want to be like, hey, everything was torn down, the room was cleared out, da da da, right? It's always nice for them to just be like, okay, I didn't leave a mess at the venue and the venue's not going to call me, right? Even little things like that do go a long way. Um, and then final payment, like I said, I collect it on event day. Most people collect it before. Does that client know that that payment is coming, right? They probably have other vendors like for my wedding, for instance, we paid a lot of vendors before, and then we showed up with cash for tips and stuff, right? And then there were certain vendors that they still had the bill open, right? So obviously that's a different type of event, but like, is the customer expecting the bill when it comes? They should be expecting it. They don't want to just receive a bill, right? Surprise, right? It's like it's jolting and like, it's irritating, right? It's a point of irritation. Like you're just billing me. You didn't even tell me this was coming, right? So obviously they sign your contract. Maybe actually let them know, hey, we're good until event day. We're gonna send the final payment, request at that point, or hey, we're gonna collect it a couple days before. Just make sure that you have it in by this date, whatever. So are you communicating those things? What does that communication look like? Is it a text message? Is it an email? What is it? Right? Does that look professional? Is that a nice message, a friendly message? Is it a cold message? Right? Bill is coming. You will be billed. Your bill is due. Does it look like that? Right? People don't like that. And then after the event, um, sometimes it's really nice to send over pictures because they're like rushed. They're running around like, oh my gosh, I didn't even get the still pictures. I only have pictures with the people, in the big photo moment or whatever. I don't have any of just the stuff. Maybe some people like to scrapbook a little. They want to like, okay, remember all the things that we did, all the details that we had, right? So sometimes it's nice to just send over pics, right after the event. Um, are you asking for a review? Right? If they had, they had a great experience, they loved it. You definitely want to ask, are you sending over an automated email asking, or are you personally asking? I feel like when I personally ask, they're like, of course, I would love to. An automated email, they're like, yeah, ignore. Oh, yeah, I should do that. I'll get around to it, right? Um, what does that message say? Hey, is it handwritten? No, we really appreciated your event. We loved this. Does it say something about them? Then they're like, oh, you know what? I gotta write that review, right? What is it? What does that feel like? Is there anything else in your process? So obviously at this point, they become a repeat customer, right? And you want to take that customer and you want them back in here right away, right? You want them in the let's plan my next event and let's get you booked, right? Um, Post event, are they getting emails from you like, hey, like let me remind you there's some fun holidays, like we just had Valentine's Day and I know maybe your husband doesn't want the balloons but your kids definitely do, right? Or are you kind of having that warm touch throughout the year? Are you personally reaching out about the event that they had last year? Right? Hey, we did your daughter's third birthday. That was awesome. I would love it if you're thinking of us for your daughter's fourth birthday. Are you doing anything this year? Right? What are you automating? What are you sending off to other tools versus what are the things that you're doing? Throughout this entire journey, you want to give them an experience, right? They want to feel valued. What are the things that feel automated versus and cold versus warm and personal, right? So I hope while I've been going through this, you've kind of been looking at the things that you actually do. So I mean, you could literally take this whole thing and map it out, like and draw the lines. This is the typical booking process for my business. Obviously I use Fanfaire. And so this is what the actual journey looks like. Um, Marketing, it's kind of like, there's so many ways. Marketing is not one thing. It's social media, it's emails, it's personal touches, right? We do a lot of personal outreach to past clients. Um, we use Kit for marketing. These are things that are very top of funnel. I think anywhere from middle down should be more personalized because you're gonna have a better chance of rebooking them. So this is the journey that our customers have. And then we do a lot of personal stuff here and even to the Google review, right? Um, so yeah, so if you want to make a copy of this, and a lot of people will use like very non-visual things. So be honest with yourself. Is it like the inquiry comes in, they wait, you're emailing them, you're sending them things like mood boards that mean nothing to them, right? Are you follow up? Are you calling? Are you like, did you get my proposal? Right? And I'm embarrassed about how we used to do it. We used to like literally PDF this proposal, send it over, right? I mean, working on it like 9:30 at night. It's the first time I had the chance to get to it. and it's like, okay, are they even interested? They call other people, right? And then it's like, what happens when they ask for the change? Like me and my business partner, like, damn it, like, or cursing their name. Oh, we have so much work to do. Like, okay, like, are they sure? Right? Are you getting frustrated with the client? If you're getting frustrated with the client, like, oftentimes it's like your process is failing, right? It's not the client. They don't know any better. You have to guide them through it, right? So if you want this genericized thing, I can certainly share it if you want a little refresher to go through these things on your own. Um, for Fanfaire, I worked with a company on the onboarding and a bunch of other things, and they literally made me take a screenshot of every single thing the client sees. So I literally screenshotted through, and that's what I did. That's what I did here. But for Fanfaire, it's very complicated, right? Because it's like, okay, I've got the user journey's long, right? I've got how do they find me? What do they see on the website? What do they decide which plan they want? After they sign up, what emails do they get? What do they see within the product? What are like all of these things, right? It's really complicated. So screenshotting that whole thing was like a nightmare, but a necessary thing for me to figure out like, wow, this process is freaking long. This needs to be better, right? And in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, well, they'll just come in the front door, right? No, it's not like that, right? Whatever you think is like easy for the client, and it's actually like the burden you feel is the burden that they feel too, right?
So you can get a free trial through Scribe if you want to document your process and get screenshots of it. If it's not
Nice. Okay.
all the time, but that's something that we use for that occasionally. Is that you can go into Scribe and that will screenshot and document everything that you're doing if you need to make up a SOP or even if you just want it to be for your own reference. So that way you could really just look at it and see what does it look like to somebody else. So because
Yeah.
we get by it. I think it's almost like you have, they say that if you're proofreading a paper, if you're proofreading your work, not to read it forward, but to start to read it backwards, because that's how you're going to catch errors, because our brain automatically fills things in so that it's going to be correct or with what we think the next step is. And so that's sometimes when we're doing a process, why we're able to miss it is because we know what the process is, so we're jumping ahead ourselves compared to if somebody else is doing it for you, or if you have, then they're not, they're going to see different things than we see because we're programmed for it to be correct and to fill in the next step or the next space of what it's going to be.
Yeah, proof of that is like just go read one of your emails. And you're like, oh my gosh, how did I miss a word there? Right? Like, huh? Thank God I have
Uh,
ChatGPT to do all the thinking for me now, but right?
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions or comments? Sorry, Dominique, I missed these. You said too early, but it taught me to itemize everything to make sure that they know exactly what is included in the price. Yes, totally. Like total clarity. Like you are getting these pet teddy bears, or you got to bring your own teddy bears, right? Um, you had a client ask you to do that and ended up sending two different transactions. I'm not sure what that was in reference for. Sorry about that.
It was when you was saying how where they was trying to hide the payments from their husband, saying they got it for this amount.
Yes.
Somebody
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody had. I was like, "Are you really trying to do this?" She's like, "Yeah, I don't want my husband to know that it costs this much and all of that." I'm like, okay.
There was just an Instagram reel that my one of my friends sent me, and it was like this like really pretty party. Like it had like all the balloons, like the matching desserts and like all the tabletop stuff was like on point. And it was like the husband's happy because he thinks it's cost $200. It's like, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've had people do the deposit in cash and
Yeah.
then pay the rest because they just want them to know that it's half of what it is, or they think it's 500, so we're going to give you this much cash instead.
I'm running into this right now. So I have this client. She sends me what she wants, sends me pictures of her birthday party. And so I give her my price and she goes, well, when my husband threw my surprise birthday party, this same setup was only $200. Well, I know the balloon artist that did the other event. So I messaged her. I'm like, I'm so confused right now. Did you do this event? She says, yes. I said, you only charged $200? She goes, no, it was $700. The husband paid me cash. So I'm like, I don't know what she saw, but it wasn't what happened.
Yeah.
But
That's
now I'm in it. So
funny. Yeah, that's too good. Too good. I'm gonna stop the recording. I know sometimes people want to speak more freely after I stop this.